Hello YouTube, this is Asatsu5 and this is a book review. London Knife Book, 1820 to 1945 by Ron Flock, or Fluke. This is kind of a catalog of London knife makers' products. That's not a business or anything. This is a catalog of different knife makers in London and what they've made. We're all familiar, if you're into Bowie knives, about Sheffield and the Sheffield Bowie knife industry and the Sheffield cutlery industry. Sheffield is still making cutlery today, which is kind of weird because Britain is not really friendly to knives, but they still make stuff. But it's a little known fact that London had a thriving cutlery company. So this has some information about the London Cutlery Company. Introduction. It talks about the guilds. And there was not like a lot of fine detail talking about there was no real narrative, I guess you can say. There was not a real story. It's just pictures of knives, the companies that produce them, dates, and what kind of knife they are. And there's a lot of surgical tools. In fact, here's a that's not a surgical tool, but there's an old style can opener. You might have seen that before, but I'm not gonna go through every page, but just a quick flip through. There was something like this. This is more of an Indian hunting knife. It's kind of like the Bowie knife that was made for the British market. And they have multi-tools. They have fighting knives. There's a type of kukri made in London. Want to get to some of another kind of hunting knife. There was a guy with a giraffe. By the way, in America we call them Bowie knives, but in Britain and London and stuff, India, they really call them hunting knives, and they call them like Indian hunting knives, or I guess they used them in Africa as well. There's an interesting looking knife. It has a bunch of different tools on it. But I have one big complaint with this book. And I say big, it's not terrible. It just required me to go to different sources to get the information I want. There's a lot of surgical tools in here. And I don't have any pages dog-eared. But, you know, there was like different surgical tools, and if you don't know what that surgical tool is, it doesn't tell you what it's used for. This is actually one I was looking for. This is a abscess knife, and some of you may know what an abscess is. It's kind of like a big pimple or whatever, but this is to lance abscess. And those are more surgical tools right here. And they, like I said, a lot of the knives, you know, might be self-explanatory, like this Indian hunting knife. This is a little bit different, but you have to, if you don't know what the amputee knife is for, or something like that, something like this. I think that's a bleeder. Yeah, you have to actually, it tells you what it is, the name of the knife, and it might say it's a so-and-so type knife. You have to go on Google to find out what it was actually used for, and I don't like that. You know, nothing wrong with doing your own research. It would just be nice if they included what these knives did and stuff. But this is a good little... well, there's a Masonic knife or a Masonic dagger. I know what that's for. Anyways, you know, a lot of cool stuff, a lot of cool pictures of old knives. You used for various purposes. Like I said, that's a bleeder right there. That's how they used to treat people, is they would bleed the bad blood out, and Fairbairn Sykes daggers, and that was kind of how George Washington died. They got old photos. They actually have a kind of like a ballad song in here that it's like a cross between a ballad song and a paratrooper's knife. I really should have staged these, but this book was an interesting looking knife right there, and they have amputee knives, and this is, I can't read it from behind the tripod. This is a Balistory knife. So that's a good example. Balistory knife, you can see it right there. I have no clue what a Balistory is, but you can go on Google and find that out. So it's a good reference, and if you like looking at old antique knives, this is a fun book. Here it is. There was that balisong type thing I was talking about. I'm telling you, I'm doing really good at going through the references or going through the different knives I want to show without actually dog-earing anything. But see, this is a type of folding knife. I've seen balisongs like this before, and they're not really meant to be manipulated in the way that we're used to. Let's see. This is a folding knife marked with that word that I can't say. They seem to date from around World War One, and so that's just an interesting knife. And then they don't really have a lot of information on it. They got a little blurb right here, but it's mostly about the maker and not about the knife itself. Here was a little carving knife set. A deer stalking knife is a catalog photo. But this is a cool book. It's not something that I open very often, but me being into Bowie knives and antique knives, which is kind of a hidden passion of mine. I love old knives. I just don't do much with it because you're not that interested in it. Anyways, it's a cool book. I got it, I think, for $10. And like I said, I was really disappointed that when you had a Balistory knife, and I don't know what that is, it doesn't tell me what it's used for. I would really like for them to actually explain what some of these knives were used for and the history behind them. But this is mostly a knife catalog about the makers. They talk about the makers themselves a little bit more than not the individual knife. And then there was a lot of dates and stuff like that. It has a soft cover. There's the inner or the hardback cover, which I think looks very classy. But I just wanted to review this book, put it on the radar in case you're interested. It's a good reference if you're into old knives. And if you want to learn about the guilds and the specific makers, it's cool. But not everybody's cup of tea. So that's it. I'm a Satsu 5, and I'm out.